Let's do the trial. Apparently, according to everyone's feedback, this is one of the worst cases in the game series, so I don't know what to expect. Court is in session for, how do I say that? Machi Tobaye, Your Honor. The Pixie of the Arpeggio. Right, his trial. Court is in session. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is A-OK, Air Judge. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin. My opening statement, yeah? No, actually, there was something else I wanted to ask you about. Yes? Say you're going to visit someone in the hospital with incurable disease. What do you say to them? Eh? I mean, you wouldn't say get well soon, right? You'd only be kicking them when they're down. What are you talking about? Actually, I'm going to visit someone who is terminally ill. Right after this trial, the Chief Justice's son. Aww. The Chief Justice. His son is afflicted with the most terrible disease. He doesn't have long, it seems. So I thought I'd go pay him a visit. I thought saying something moving might be the order of the day. Why don't girls better just say what's on their mind instead of pretending? She's looking at me with something like disgust. Hey, what are you looking at me like that for? In any case, I'm a bit busy today, so let's wrap this up quickly. Prosecutor Gavin, your opening statement, briefly. You're in luck, Air Judge. I believe you'll be going on your hospital visit sooner than you think. First, to review the victim in this case. Romain Lataus, age 35. The global manager for diva songstress Lamimoir. The cause of death, blood loss due to being shot by a large caliber revolver. This report has all the details. Two shots were fired. One shot missed. The other penetrated and passed through the victim's shoulder. I still don't know what this is. This has to be a written message. Both bullets were found in the wall of the scene. Observe the diagram. This is where the bullets hit. I see. The court accepts this evidence. If we're talking about a .45 caliber revolver, we must assume that the killer was adept at the weapon's use. Really? Yeah, apparently weapons that size have a powerful kickback. If, say, the judge tried to fire one, it'd break every bone in his body. The defense will take more care in choosing examples. As I was saying, the victim was shot backstage in the dressing room. Is it Lamimoir? Oh, it's Emma. I'm a Sky. I'm a detective for the police department. I was on security detail at the concert forum that night. Emma seems tired somehow. Security at the concert, you say? Some security I was. Couldn't even stop a murder. Now, don't blame yourself. Things like this happen. I've made even bigger mistakes in my career, you know. I'm sure that makes her feel much better. I want to hear about these bigger mistakes. In any case, because you were on security detail, the crime was quickly discovered, and we were able to identify the killer. You may give the court your testimony if you want. Describe the circumstances of that day and your discovery of the crime, please. Alright. The night of the murder, I was on security backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request. Only people involved with the concert in some way were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I went to the room filled with the blaring rock music and found the body. I examined the scene and determined the only defendant could have done it. It was lucky that a detective was the first on the scene. But that door was the only way out of the room, right? Yeah, pretty much. The vent, though. Then I don't get it. How can they say that Machi did it? Looks like we need a bit more information. Very well, the defense may begin the cross-examination. How could you know something like that? The air vent. Oh, she mentioned it. Oh! But that air vent was too small. Who could possibly... Exactly. There's certainly no way you could get through, nor me. The only one who could fit through was a child. A child. Remember, access to those rooms was limited. Only those involved with the concert were allowed. And of all the people involved with the concert, only one is small enough to be considered a child. The defendant? The pixie of the arpeggio flitted up toward the sky and disappeared from the scene of the crime. Objection! But that's just conjecture. Oh, there was no other way out of that room. You were there. You should know, Air Forehead. And there's another vital piece of evidence. Evidence? What? Marks were found on the air vent grill. Traces that it had been recently opened. Wait, what? And something else was found quite clearly. The defendant, Machi Tobias' fingerprints. What? That air vent was the only way out of the room. The defendant's fingerprints were found on the grill. Well, Air Forehead, what fairy tale does this suggest to you? Only one could pass through that vent, that doorway to heaven. And that one is our pixie. Why are you looking at me, Apollo? Hey! I was out whooping it up in the audience. So this was his decisive evidence. Quite decisive indeed. I know the circumstances under which the body was found. I was there. An examination of the crime scene was enough to nail down the killer? I'm sure they have a good reason. They must have a good reason to arrest Machi. And I'm going to find out what it was. I wanted to see her again. Oh boy, did you hear that? We're officially involved now. Gee, great. Some of the hangers-on tried to get backstage, but I drove them off. Some other outsiders were there though. And then, at the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I believe we were having a chat when we heard the shots. You were the one chatting. I was eating snackaroos. Hey, no snacking in court. And you're sure the shots came from Lamimoir's room? Hey, I'm the one being cross-examined here. Here, take this. This'll keep you quiet. Turtle? Ah, thanks. So, how about Emma? We were right there. Hard to be thinking for that. Please, either talk or eat. Not both at the same time. Right, so after that, me and Mr. Lawyer there opened the dressing room door. Rock? Blaring, yeah. When you say rock, are you referring perhaps to this rock and roll music that's so popular these days? That's right, when we went into the dressing room. The music was blaring over the speaker on the wall. They piped sound from the stage into the backstage through speakers. That way people in the back can hear what they're supposed to be on stage. Did it have to be so loud? You don't listen to the Gavineers with your ears. You feel it with your entire body and soul. I always have the backstage monitors at full volume. When we walked into the room, the band was playing Guilty Love, I believe, making it easy to determine the time of the crime. If you could hear that music playing, then everyone on stage for that song has an alibi, including myself. Anyway, I closed off the scene and started my investigation. I examined the scene and determined that was the only defendant could have done it. Objection! Fuck. The night of the murder was the night of the concert, yeah? That's right. What was the detective doing on the security detail, might I ask? If it was only a concert. My thoughts exactly. But orders are orders, even when they come from rock gods. Prosecutor Gavin? Yes, allow me to explain. I smelled something that day, you might say. The stench of conspiracy. That day at the concert hall. Conspiracy? Well, isn't it obvious? My keys! The whole morning, no, the whole day was ruined. It's all because someone stole my keys. I couldn't ride my hog to the show, I couldn't open my guitar case. There he goes again. Isn't it possible he simply misplaced them? Misplaced them? Misplaced items don't just wander into a murder victim's hand on their own. Love, slow acting, and you. After quinine is waiting for you. He's sinking some. Does everything with this guy have to be so over the top? The killing happened in the middle of my concert. I was like a sailor, adrift on a sea of sound. Anyway, I didn't want anything else stolen, so I put the detective with the most time on their hands on the task. I see. I can accept that. Well, I can't. What do you mean time on their hands? I believe that's enough of that. The prosecution has a rather convincing case. The only way in and out of the crime scene was watched, making the defendant the only one who could possibly leave the scene. Simple and decisive. Ugh! I believe we've heard enough to determine our verdict, even if it was in a hurry to make a hospital visit. I'm sure that the Chief Justice will appreciate the gesture. Unfortunately, we have no direct witnesses. Fortunately, the criminal left this decisive evidence for us. That will have to be enough. Can't be over yet. Very well, I believe this trial is finished. The defense have no other contradicting evidence? The prosecution has presented our proof clear and plain. If you have contradicting evidence, it's better to clear and plain. Apollo! They got on the ropes already. We better come up with something quick. I know. Think, what can get us out of this? We need evidence or a witness that can prove Machi is innocent beyond a doubt. Without that, Mr. Justice, do you have contradicting proof that can overturn the prosecution's case? If you do, you better tell us about it now. This is it, and so soon. I made this one up, it's all over. The court wants to contradicting proof? Prosecutor Gavin, you claim that there were no witnesses to this crime. Are you absolutely sure? Absolutely. I'd swear it on my career as a prosecutor. And on my million-seller hit song, Actor Quinine, My Love. There he goes again. That's too bad, because there was a witness. Ho ho! Really now? But how did you come to possess knowledge the prosecution clearly does not? Because I am the only one in the world who knows this. What? The victim said this before he died? Perhaps he did, and perhaps he did not. What did you mean by that? All we know is that Air Forehead says what he said. It's no testimony, especially since it comes from the defense attorney himself. Objection! But it's the truth. He said it. I even told you about it. But apparently you ignored me completely. It's my policy to fully investigate everything I deem relevant. Clearly this rookie lawyer thinks he can tell me how to do my job. That's enough. Mr. Justice, we need clear contradictory proof from you. This witness of yours, unknown to the prosecution, I hope you're right. Failure carries a stiff penalty. Perhaps a stiffer penalty than usual is called for. There's no backing out now. Take that! Lamimoir? Recall Mr. Latouse's last words. The witness is Siren. The siren. Aha, he meant the siren. That's right, the siren of the ballad. Lamimoir. I don't even know how to say that shit. I'm just gonna say Lamimoir. Was only on stage for the second set, and she had access to the backstage area. She could have been a witness. I see. Well, Prosecutor Gavin, my claim still stands. There was no witness to this crime. Very well. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth then, shall we? We will now take a break from Detective Emma Sky's cross-examination. Please show Lamimoir to this witness stand. Lamimoir would say nothing the night of the murder. Not today, though. Today we'll drag that story out of her no matter what it is. Hello. Actually, I do not know how it came by my knowledge of your language, nor where I studied it. Huh? What does she mean she doesn't know? What's that? Lamimoir suffers from amnesia. Amnesia? It's not my true name. Yeah, I remember nothing of the time before I was given. Nothing of the time before I started singing on stage. Whoa, she's even more mysterious than I thought. As lauded singer Lamimoir, she lives a good life. There are little difficulties for her thanks to her success. Yet, I did not wish to subject her to unnecessary stress. I see. I care surprisingly little about people's pasts. You have nothing to fear in this court, Lamimoir. Thank you. Yet there is something I do not understand. I am being called as a witness. What might I say? No one will tell me anything of what happened. Lamimoir, let me be frank. I did not want to ask you up here to testify. Yet that young gentleman with the wide forehead over there is adamant that you stand. Oh my. Congratulations, Apollo. You're the bad guy. Well, now that you're here, please give us your testimony. If nothing else, the sound of your voice is welcome. Tell us what you saw the night of the crime. As for what I saw nothing. That night, I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after the second set. Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and was told to wait there. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details. I must say, you sound wonderful just testifying. I hope you was too distracted to hear what she was actually saying. There you have it, she saw nothing that night. Now we can only pray that the defense has the sense to admit defeat, and refrain from detaining her here longer than need be. Wow, you just got better, Apollo. Way to go! Very well, Mr. Justice. Keep it short and sweet. Lamimoir wouldn't talk to me the night of the crime. She must know something, and I've got to find out what. But you must have seen something. Mr. Latals named you. Mr. Latals? How can I tell you what I don't know? Lamimoir, he said you were a witness with his dying words. I do not know what he meant to say, but that night I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after this. You did not return backstage once? Where were you then? What were you doing? I was cleaning up on stage. There were many things I must do for performance other than simply sing. And was Machi with you at the time? Unfortunately, I do not know where he was. So much for an alibi for Machi. There we go. Let's go. I'm sorry, Lamimoir, but I'm having trouble believing you. You remember this brooch, don't you not? Why, that's Lamimoir's. She was wearing it for her song. Care to add that to the testimony, Prosecutor Gavin? What? This brooch was found after the murder took place, at the very scene of the crime. What? Lamimoir, how did your brooch get backstage if you did not go there yourself? And, as Prosecutor Gavin has just told us, you had been wearing it during your performance that night. What is the meaning of this? Lamimoir, please explain. Lamimoir? She says English is quite difficult. That trick's not gonna work here! Your forehead may be large, but you are a lawyer, truly. But you have missed one important fact. What now? In fact, at the time of the incident, I went backstage, but only for a moment. What? Think back to the moment of the crime. You know whereof I speak. Is she really saying all that? What's she talking about, Apollo? Right when the incident occurred. Oh! Is she talking about that? Watch this room for me. I have to call for backup. Right, understood. You want me to make sure no one comes in, right? Well, that explains the brooch. Let's return to your testimony. That's too convenient. She's hiding something. You did look into the room, though, right? Yeah. Testify as to what you saw. Very well, though it was only with briefest of glimpses. I saw nothing. The late Latas's body was behind the wall. How is that possible? I mean, that seems kinda... Objection! God damn it. Kill myself. Wall? Was there a wall there? A division, or a partition, I believe. It was a large dressing room divided in two halves. And the murder took place inside the half. I guess that partition might have hidden the body. With Machi, correct? How was he then? He seemed as he always does, though I believe he was shocked by the news of Mr. Lathouse's death. Yet he is not the type to show much emotion. Yes, he's given the police no end of headaches. He answers most questions with silence, and those glinting frames speak nothing. The questioning hasn't gotten very far. We sat there waiting. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details. How was the incident explained to you? I was told nothing in detail, only that Mr. Lathouse died. Of course, investigations require some security. But Mr. Lathouse was my manager. I wanted to know more. I should have been told. Both Machi and I were beside ourselves with concern. Allow me to apologize, but please understand. Keeping you in the dark was as painful for me as it was for you. Yes, I understand. Think, what doesn't ring true about her testimony? It's hard to imagine Lamimoir lying. She must not be lying, but she's hiding something. What would she tell me about the night of the murder? It's my autograph. Now keep this trial moving. What? Oh, my grandchild would be so happy. Oh, God. see it, I see it, I see it, I see it, I see it.
Gotcha!
The late Mr. Latouse's body, you say? Yes? You know something more about Mr. Latouse's death than you are saying. What? I can see you trying not to remember. The effort made you swallow. You can't fool my eyes. It is true. It was so terrible after all. Why did Mr. Latouse have to be shot? One moment, Lamimoir. Yes? What was that you just said? Why did Mr. Latouse have to be shot? Yes? She was hiding something, I knew it. Lamimoir, I'm afraid you haven't realized it, but your words just now contradict your testimony. Eh? How could that be? Take this. If I do not misunderstand the meaning of contradiction, it is you who contradict, Mr. Justice. Huh? Your evidence is meaningless. Wah! Wrong evidence! Ah! Gotta think this one over. What did she say again? Why did Mr. Latouse have to be shot? That's right, that totally contradicts her testimony. Take this! More chip. Give me more chip. Tell me, Lamimoir, how did you know that he had been shot? Immediately following the incident, a gag order was placed on the scene. This is document proving that. In your testimony, you told the court, no one told me anything about the incident. Furthermore, you testified that you had seen nothing. Yet you know that Mr. Latouse has been shot. How could you have known? Ooh! She's kind of cute. Lamimoir, you aren't hiding something from this court, I hope. That sweet song of hers was sounding a little too sweet. Now I remember. Please, allow me to add my testimony. Of course. All we want to know is the truth. That's impossible, because the door is here and you can't see. Dude, what the fuck? Why was this so obvious, but the other one was so not? Yeah, it was so vague.
Objection!
Come on, can I be cool for once? Great going, Apollo. You were right about Lamimoir. What's wrong? You don't look too happy. So you saw it from here. I guess you saw the shooting, so you didn't see the bullet holes. But how did you manage to exit? Oops, didn't mean to do that.
Hold it! Hold it! Hold it!
I feel like if you say it's pretty good, it's already gonna be like what lower. But if it's a grown man, how the fuck did they get away? Though it pains me to say this, there's something about Lamimoir's testimony that rings false. Bravo, Air Forehead. You're colder than I thought. Danke.
Objection!
Jesus. Ready, air forehead. I hope I didn't just miss my only chance. Frontline detective. How far had we gotten until we were going to be interrupted? Don't ask me. What? His signature. What do you mean by his signature? The bullet holes in the wall, of course. And the bullet holes? The revolver was fired twice. One shot missed and left a hole in the wall. And that means what, exactly? That dressing room isn't exactly spacious. Picture the shooter facing off with the victim in there. They can't have been more than 5 feet apart. It would be difficult, almost impossible to miss at that range. Very. Assuming the shooter could properly aim. No, you can't be serious. Machi, he can't see. That's why he missed? It's the only explanation for that makes sense. He used sound and other senses to fire the gun. Poorly. That reminds me, the monitor in that room was blaring at the time, yeah? Highly ideal conditions for tracking by sound. Blind shooter. No wonder he missed. I knew the bullet holes would come back to haunt me. Think justice, what do I do now? Well, it could have been a struggle between the victim. The revolver was a very large caliber, correct? Exactly. The defendant, Machi Tobae, as you can see, tiny. It's not so hard to picture him firing the gun and missing entirely. The kickback alone would throw off his aim. A convincing argument, to be sure. Take that, smug prosecution. Apollo? Huh? What? That bit about Machi being tiny and the gun throwing off his aim, aren't you kind of, admitting that he did it? Oh. Cripes. I really put my foot in it this time. But let's get the facts of the matter of the record. If you would, Fraulein Detective. Very well, the witness will add this to his testimony. Right. From the state of the crime scene, I conclude that the shooter was blind. Doesn't look so good, does it, Apollo? No, it doesn't. What do we do? Practically left his signature at the scene. From the state of the crime, I conclude the shooter was blind. Hold on, let me see all my evidence real quick. I don't know what this is still. What is this? Can I turn it around? I can't read anything from there either. But if he missed once, how did he get a chance to shoot him in the back again? How is this evidence? I don't even know how I guessed that. The prosecution holds that the shooter couldn't see. A scientific conclusion based on a thorough examination of the crime scene, yeah. Apparently not thorough enough. I have a certain piece of evidence that completely overturns your claim. What? This is the evidence. The photograph of the crime scene. I don't care much for the smirk on Prosecutor Gavin's face, but this is no time to think twice. Time to press on. Yes, Your Honor, the crime scene. There is something in here that decisively contradicts the prosecution's point. Then perhaps you'd best show this something. Get your finger out of the breeze and put it to good use, Xia. Very well, show us what you're talking about, Mr. Justice. The contradiction of the crime scene is... this. The contradiction is right here. The smeared blood stains. I thought it was just my blurry vision, but it really was blurry. The way the victim's hand is raised above his head, much like a gesture I have seen many times in this court. It's almost as if he wrote something. Aha, I get it. At least I think I get it. Get what, Fraulein? When Mr. Lataus was shot, he tried to write something. And what would he write but the shooter's name? And what would he write in his own blood? Pretty good, huh? Thanks for making my point for me. Yes, in fact, that's what I think happened here. That does seem to be a distinct possibility. The victim wrote the killer's name. It's certainly a logical conclusion. Drat! I just wish it wasn't all rubbed out like that. Of course it's rubbed out. Why, if I were a killer, I certainly wouldn't want to leave my own name behind. Neither would I. No one has anything else to say? About what? So the prosecution accepts this. You agree that this was the victim making an attempt to record the name of the killer, and that the killer tried to rub the name out. What's your point? What's my point? Let me ask you this. How did the killer know the victim was writing their name? Well, Mr. Lataus was writing something in blood. Once the killer saw what it was... Wait. Once he saw what it was? But what did you just testify about the shooter? I said they were blind. Ah! Yet the crime scene itself contradicts that. The killer had to have been able to see. Why would they rub out the name in blood otherwise? Oh. May I remind the court that the defendant, Machi Tobae, is blind. He couldn't have been the shooter. Impossible! Prosecutor Gavin, please explain to me what all this means. I mean, looking at this photo, it seems quite clear that the shooter could see. Yet up until now, it seems I owe the court an apology. The Gaviners are a band with law enforcement ties, yet a murder occurred. During our concert, apparently this caused some confusion over jurisdiction. As a result, some reports were not filed in an entirely timely manner. I'm not sure I like the vibe I'm getting here. Hey Apollo, look at him. Why is Prosecutor Gavin all relaxed and smiling like that? Like he knows something we don't, and he's about to tell us. I've got an idea. Let's rock! With these documents. But before that, I have a question for the Fraulein detective. If I may... What? Tell me, why do you think that Machi Tobae is blind? Huh? What do you say? What are you saying? Of course he's blind. Of course. He's the blind pianist, right? So he's... Doesn't Lamimoir lead him around by the hand all the time? No way. I have a report here on the defendant, Machi Tobae. According to this, Machi Tobae can see perfectly well. What? His blindness was merely a publicity ploy by those clever Borginians. He can see quite well. But you said... What did I say exactly? Your forehead. Not once in the course of this trial have I claimed the defendant was blind. The only one who did was Fraulein detective. But that's a significant fact, yes. Consider, Machi Tobae sees, and he was the only one who have fled through the air vent. I see no problems with this. But what about the bullet holes in the wall? Yeah, the bullet holes. I believe our forehead neatly explained those for us. He didn't miss because he couldn't see. It was the kickback from the .45 caliber revolver. A simple accident, in other words. How's that? I'm afraid your objection has just fallen off for brighter skies. This is where the real fun begins, their forehead. I'm scared. I knew you didn't have what it took. You jerk. Just what was I in here for? Comic relief? Yeah, apologize. Oh, sorry. That's no way to apologize. He's angered to the trucy now. Look out. If we can please end the bickering now. Whatever, I'm not leaving. I can't leave like this. I'll come up with some clue to solving this case if it kills me. But your testimony has already given us enough to convict the defendant. Don't say that. What? This blood stain. The criminal tried to wipe it off, right? That seems to be what happened, yeah. We might be able to find out what it was really written there. Really? You can do that? That's right, with this. It's called luminol. Maybe you know of it. It's a chemical that reacts to blood. Yeah. Have we done those tests yet? Ha! As I'm gonna tell you, the blood stains covered a section of the carpet. In order to perform blood tests, that section was removed and submitted. Perhaps we should request it here in the court now. Right, go for it, Apollo. Huh? I have to do the test? You just have to spray the luminol on it. Simple. A chemical that reacts to blood. I've heard of this somewhere. Yes, I believe an analysis is called for. Have at it. Right, ready? It's easy as pie. Just touch the screen to spray an area. Here, give it a try. Apollo, your hand's shaking. Let's do this. Wow, it really works. This must be the power of science. It says IPX X314206. Is that the killer's name? Maybe it is. If the killer was a robot. I have it. So what is it? I thought those letters IPXX looked familiar. This is an Interpol ID number. Interpol? You mean the International Police Agency? Yeah, most are undercover agents working to solve international crimes. But why would he write that number? Why would Mr. Lataus even know a number like that? Good show, fellow detective. Rock on. Eh? Your Honor, we can verify this number immediately. Darian, are you there? Come up to the witness stand. Oh yeah, it's fucking dickhead, dude. Darian, you heard what we need. Go check into this Interpol ID number. Sure thing. Give me 30 minutes. No, give me 27. I'm not sure what to think of all this. The prosecution's case is airtight, or so it seems. Yet if this number is really that of an Interpol agent... Oh wait, I know. What if Machi Tobias is really an undercover Interpol agent? That would be a possibility. A possibility, yeah. And one that would mark him as the killer for certain. Why did Lataus know an Interpol ID number? That's what I want to know. Well, we have some time while we await Darian's report. Let's work on unraveling another mystery, shall we? A curious mystery concerning Machi Tobias. What are you even talking about? Fellow detective, please accept my apologies. I received word that the defendant could, in fact, see just before the trial began. It seemed too much of a bother to tell you. You had me until that last bit. Does this not raise a rather straightforward question? Well, sure. Why did Machi pretend you couldn't see? Exactly. It makes little sense. What do you think, Air Forehead? Huh? Me? Machi Tobias pretended he was blind. Do you know why? How could he know? Wait, Prosecutor Gavin knows why, doesn't he? What does that have to do with anything? There was a reason why Machi pretended to be blind. But it wasn't for his sake. Getting the picture now? It wasn't for himself? Well, Mr. Justice, can you present evidence that shows us why the defendant had the feigned blindness? I don't have a clue, dude. What the fuck? What's in my court records? Had to fake blindness. Sight singing. Oh, because of the whole act, right. Oh! Dude, I did not see that coming. Apollo, you're doing this to me on purpose. So you mean to say that she's blind? Lamimoir is blind. What the fuck? This is crazy, Prosecutor Gavin. Is it now? Please shed some sanity on this madness. The defense has made an outrageous claim. The only thing outrageous I see about the defense is his vast forehead. Yeah, I see it is not vast in vain, this time. He's quite correct. But that makes no sense! Yeah, wasn't she supposed to be the landscape painter of sound or something? Well, since we have her here, why not ask Lamimoir herself? I believe she's still in the witness waiting room. Apollo, what does this mean for our case? Don't ask me, I had no idea she couldn't see. I hadn't even imagined it until now. Bailiff, bring in the Lamimoir. I'm just gonna call her the Siren. Siren, it pains me deeply to call you before us again in this way, and yet I must. Please, do not be concerned on my behalf. Those eyes, she really can't see? Really? It is true. How funny it is that a tiny life born in the Virginian countryside will one day grow to entangle the entire world. So you are... Yes, as I mentioned before, I have no memory of the time before I became a Lamimoir. Know too that my memories begin in darkness. The word light has no meaning for Siren. I see. You may recall me saying something toward the beginning of this trial, Air Forehead. What is that? I believe I said it was unfortunate this crime had no direct witnesses. Now, the Siren, I must ask you to stand once more. Will you testify to the court about your eyes? Of course. It was never my intent to deceive any of you. Maybe I begin, Your Honor. Yes, of course. Though I admit, I'm a little lost here. I think we're all a little bit lost here, Your Honor. But if this is a murder trial, I apologize. It was part of my contract, you see. I was to keep my blindness a secret no matter what. Music is everything for me. I never imagined something like this would... You told us the truth in the beginning, when she said she saw nothing. Very well. Does the defense have anything to add? I'd like to cross-examine. But what is there left to ask? There's one thing in her testimony that bothered me. Perhaps it is best we let you get it out of your system. Someday you'll come to understand the importance of thinking for yourself. Very well, the defense may proceed. However, be aware this court will not tolerate any questions deemed too stressful to the witness. Okay. There's only one part that bothered me. Just let me ask about that and I'll be happy. I think I know what it is. When you say your staff, do you include Mr. Lataus? Of course, he was my manager, so he knew, and that's what's been bugging me. Something the matter, Mr. Justice? I believe I know what is bothering a young defense attorney. You are thinking of when you discovered the body, yeah? Is she right, Apollo? Yeah, I was. Mr. Lataus told me to ask the witness, and he named you. Why would he do that? He knew you were blind. I don't know. What did I just say? You need to learn to think for yourself. Meaning what? There is no mystery here if you recall everything he said. Think of his last words once more. The witness, Siren. We heard them many times, along with little play acting by our defense. I remember them well myself, but that statement is not to what I refer. I mean what he said before that. Before? What came before that? What? That's right, he tried to tell you. When he said can't see, he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about the witness. I see. Too bad the defense did not. Well, Air Forehead, try relaxing and looking at the facts first next time. What? Recall Lamimoir's earlier testimony. I was on my way from the stage to the back exit. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But she couldn't have heard those gunshots. I thought we proved that. That is not the most important point here. The moment he was shot, Mr. Lathouse witnessed her through the window. Why else would he have named her as the witness? But I really did hear them. 2 gunshots, and the name and the man's voice. Unfortunately, such a thing was impossible. The window was closed. We have already run a simulation, of course. It was so clear. If I heard that voice again, I would know it in an instant. Your Honor? What is it, bailiff? Can't you see we're in a session here? We have the results back from the investigation. The investigation? The Interpol number that Mr. Lathouse gave us. Well, let's hear it. We will continue this cross-examination afterward. Detective Curtin, your report, please. I asked Interpol about that number. I'm sure you'll find their answer intriguing. IP-XX314206. The agent registered under this number was Romain Lathouse. What? Our undercover Interpol agent was Mr. Lathouse himself. He was apparently in the middle of an operation, so when he wrote those letters, he was trying to tell us his own identity, and a cautious killer tried to wipe him away. Mr. Lathouse was an undercover Interpol agent, so him being Lamimoir's manager, was just a cover, most likely. There's one other important detail I found. Well, out with it. It concerns a .45 caliber revolver, the motor weapon. Apparently, it belonged to Romain Lathouse. He had an Interpol permit to carry firearms, and a registration number on the revolver matched. So the victim was killed with his own weapon, which makes sense. It's hard to imagine someone who was an Interpol agent with such a large revolver. So the victim was an Interpol agent on that undercover op. I wonder how that ties into everything. It's gotta tie in somehow, you'd think. Yeah, somehow. Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading out. Wait! Lamimoir, is something the matter? That voice just now. Darien? Mr. Darien, is it? It was him. I'm sure of it. It was him? You aren't saying! It was that voice I heard talking to Mr. Lathouse when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darien. Is this some kind of joke? What? No way. I've never seen that happen before. Of course, it's not every day that you get an accusation like that one. Lamimoir fingering Darien Percent. Not only is he a guitarist, he's a goddamn detective. Could it really have been his voice Lamimoir heard? Things were changing fast, and frankly, I wasn't sure I would keep up with it. Hey! No whipping out now, Apollo. That was sick.